live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
Thanks for joining us on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. Wednesday, June 14th, we're going in depth tonight on the topic of road rage stemming from our town hall that consumed an entire hour of our coverage on 2 News at 4 o'clock. Before we dive into that, though, let's take a look at what's making headlines tonight. These are some of our top stories right now on our website, KUTV.com. Let's show you. New details from Ogden Police today after a deadly officer-involved shooting early Tuesday morning. Today, the police chief there identified the suspect as 32-year-old Alex Lopez. The chief says Lopez was armed and driving a stolen vehicle. We've also learned one officer fired their weapon during the incident. A Colorado mother says a body found last Saturday in the Jordan Surplus Canal is her 22-year-old son, Tyler Sevich. Police confirmed the identity this morning. Tyler disappeared in mid-May. Also making headlines tonight on our website, the Utah Department of Public Safety announcing they've arrested a reckless motorcyclist after nearly a 3-week search for this individual. Some of the video released by the Department of Public Safety Aero Bureau today. This incident was from back in May, began in the Trappers Loop area near Snow Basin in Weber County. The motorcyclist was able to make it all the way towards Tooele. The suspect has been identified and arrested, 42-year-old Richard Goulet of Magna. Finally, lawmakers held a special session at the Utah State Capitol today to discuss the steps to fill Congressman Chris Stewart's seat. Stewart is leaving his position in September. As always, you can weigh in with us, go in depth. You can get in touch with us throughout the show by using the hashtag 2NewsLive. You can join the conversation by finding us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram, among many other platforms. Send us a message there to weigh in. What are Utahns seeing when they hit the roads? I could, if we had enough time, share what I saw just this morning driving to work, but maybe for another time. Utahns talking to 2 News about some of the worst cases of road rage they've seen while behind the wheel. We've also reached out to the public to ask you what you think is behind some of these violent cases of road rage. Paul Nelson joining us live in the mobile weather lab tonight. Paul, you've been cruising the streets, but you've been talking to people. What have they been telling you about what they've seen while on the roads?
Well, some of them didn't have the good story that you told me in the office, actually, about what happened to you this morning. But some of the stuff that I'd been told about sounded really quite frightening, especially since they seem to stem from such small itty-bitty matters. One lady said that as she just goes the speed limit, many times people try to kind of swerve around her. She admits that she actually eggs them on by slowing down even further. But we've heard other stories about guys getting out of a car and actually just running up to another driver, threatening a fist fight. We've had, of course, the shouting matches. And one case was pretty egregious with one recently graduated high school student who said that he had actually seen high-speed chases in residential neighborhoods because a high schooler threw a water balloon at a car, hit the car, and actually that led to a chase, which did lead to a crash. So he's seen people be hurt because of these tempers that just kind of get out of control. Right now, though, I'm in the driver's side. Tony is doing the driving, so he's making sure that we're safe, so we don't actually encourage any more road rage as we're out and about.
Now, Paul, obviously the point of a lot of this coverage is to find some solution somewhere, whether that be the individual making a better decision, whether that be something done from our legislators. What did you hear when you talked to people today? Did you ask anybody, hey, what do you think would be a good way to perhaps curb some of these cases?
Well, they all noticed, every single person that I spoke to today, all noticed one thing in common, and they said it appears other drivers are just worried about themselves, worried about their own schedules, making sure that they get to where they need to go first, not caring about everybody else that's on the road. And that is the big thing that everybody that I spoke with actually had noticed. They all had that in common. However, we did an interactive poll, and we asked people what they thought was the leading factor. They thought bad drivers was the leading cause behind all road rage cases. Other people, about a third of them, said that high stress levels on the roads, that contribute to it. But very few actually said something like running late was one of the reasons behind road rage. So basically, it seems most Utahns just believe bad drivers are the main culprit behind the road rage cases that we're seeing. And a lot of people, if you talk to them individually, it sounds like a lot of Utahns are just not considerate of others when we're on the roads.
Paul Nelson, cool, calm, and collected, and not even behind the wheel right now. Paul, thank you for joining 2 News Live tonight. Continuing our coverage this evening, violent cases of road rage sparking new attention around our state lawmakers. Now happening today, lawmakers holding a special session at the Capitol, taking a look at what other states do compared to Utah. Are laws now tough enough? Are they thorough enough? Brian Malahy asking some of those questions at the Capitol tonight. Brian, what did you find out?
Yeah, this is really an interim session, so lawmakers do this every month when they're not in session. It really wasn't tied directly to the special session, but it is a chance for lawmakers to get together and discuss this kind of legislation. So, yes, what we heard today in a legislative committee was
Well, we seem to have lost Brian Malahy there, but he talked in a committee, just to summarize kind of some of the conversation that took place today. This was in a transportation interim committee. There were a number of people that spoke today, including a member of Utah Highway Patrol, also a local chief of police. They also presented some bit of research. Me personally, like Brian Malahy, I did not take away what some of those data points were, so you'll have to refer to Brian Malahy's article on our website, KUTV.com. But the point of this is to take a look at aggressive driving, a potential for a statute which is seen or is enacted in about 15 states. So right now here in Utah, a Class B misdemeanor is the reckless driving charge. It's something I've looked into in the last few days because it's typically tacked onto some of these road rage related incidents. Now, again, the aggressive driving statute is found in other states. To learn more about what Brian was looking into, Brian Malahy at the Utah State Capitol today, what was discussed in that Transportation Interim Committee, you can always link back to some of our coverage from earlier today and also join him coming up tonight at 6 o'clock and also on our website, KUTV.com. So let's continue to go in depth on road rage tonight. What's being discussed at the legislative level at the state capitol about the topic of road rage? Are there solutions? I sat down with Senator Todd Weiler yesterday afternoon to talk about road rage, legislation, and things being looked into when it comes to the frequency of these heart-wrenching crashes that can result in lives lost. It looks like Utah's trying to discuss or look towards some sort of an aggressive driving statute, which is consistent in some other states. Are you in support of something like this?
Yeah, look at aggressive driving is already illegal, but we don't have a category just for road rage. So I think we're looking at just adding that category, but cutting people off, speeding, obscene gestures, whatever, all of those things are already distracted driving or, all of those things are already illegal. And it's hard to make something double illegal, but it seems like we're getting more and more incidents of road rage, so we need to address that head on.
Well, with all of this happening right now, recently, some, heart-wrenching incidents of its own, would we wait to February for something like this? Would involve another special session? That would be yet another one. Does this wait?
It's probably too early to say that. Special sessions are, I know we've had one last month, we're having one this month, but they're usually unique creatures. Policy decisions like this typically are done and addressed in a general session, so I can't predict the future on that. But I will tell you, whenever two innocent people lose their lives through by something that makes no sense, that shouldn't have happened, that definitely gets my attention. I think it gets every legislator's attention.
By that, you're referencing something very recent here in Eagle Mountain. The charges against that individual are manslaughter, and then there's this reckless driving charge. It's a Class B misdemeanor. Should that charge in itself be looked at differently because it is involved with so many other charges typically when you're looking at one of these instances of road rage?
Yeah, it seems like it should, right? We only have about 7 classifications of crime, and that's from infraction all the way up to like first-degree murder. And so sometimes, when you only have those 5 categories in between, sometimes you look at things and you're like, well, are those two really equal? But I think, whenever you have 2 innocent people die, you got to start asking those hard questions. So I'm currently researching what other states are doing. I'm trying to get some actual data from the UHP. Because I don't want to fall victim to something like Shark Week. If we're just talking about road rage because, it's on people's minds, it's not like sharks just attack during Shark Week, but that gets everybody's attention for 1 week of the year. And so I think that the legislature would prefer to make data-driven decisions.
You're talking about it again coming up here, but the last time we found that there was a real big discussion on aggressive driving, reckless driving, was back in a transportation committee meeting in 1999.
Yeah, that's a long time
Did it really
ago.
take 24 years to have this discussion again? There's been plenty of deaths on our roads related to something like this.
And let's be clear, we talk about traffic issues, we talk about transportation issues, we talk about criminal justice issues all the time, but it may not be on an agenda as road rage or whatever. But I mean, and I want to emphasize the person who committed this crime, who took the lives of these two people, they are facing criminal charges. So it's not as if this isn't illegal now and we need to make it illegal. I think we need to revisit the issue and tweak it and maybe have a separate category just for road rage, because it seems like for whatever reason people are losing it more often, losing their temper, losing their patience behind the wheel.
Senator, you mentioned doing some research on this. So have you looked into busier roads, overcrowded roads as a potential contributor to maybe perhaps a frequency of these instances?
I haven't focused on that, but I will tell you, I think part of the problem is when you are going 80 miles an hour, these are split seconds decisions. And I think people underestimate the fact that they're driving a vehicle that may be 5,000 or 10,000 pounds at 80 miles an hour. And I think a lot of times these situations unravel and go out of control, in a matter of 2 or 3 seconds. And I think part of that is better educating people, as to how lethal and how dangerous these situations are. I think some people just want to, I don't know, show another driver who's boss, or show them I'm not going to let you get in front of me or whatever. All of it is petty until someone dies, and then it becomes criminal and So I don't want to have a knee-jerk reaction, but I do think we need to have an appropriate reaction, because it seems, when innocent people are dying, we have to react to that.
As always, we'd like to hear from you at home. What do you believe is the main reason for road rage on our Utah streets, our highways, our freeways? Grab your phone, scan the QR code on your screen to weigh in. Right now, taking a look at this poll, 51% of you saying bad drivers, that's to blame. Next highest result here on our viewer poll, high levels of stress. Paul Nelson talked about that in his report just a few minutes ago. Maybe if you're feeling a little stressed, just pull on over for a few minutes, cool off. At an hour-long road rage town hall from 4 to 5 tonight. We spoke to officials from UDOT, UHP, as well as families of victims of road rage. You can see the entire town hall on our YouTube channel right now. You can see the channel name on your screen. It comes up KUTV 2 News Salt Lake City. It's at KUTV 2 News. Let's talk about the weather, because there's always something interesting to talk about when it comes to our forecast here in Utah. Before we do that though, water levels, it's interesting because you looked at reservoirs yesterday.
Right.
And the numbers are impressive. Everyone loves seeing something 90s, 100%.
Close to full capacity at most of our reservoirs in northern Utah.
What about the big boys, right?
Yeah.
Your Flaming Gorge, your Lake Powell.
A little bit different. Flaming Gorge, though, sitting at 80% capacity. So that's good news. Up 17.5 feet since March, but still about 17 feet below full capacity, and they're climbing right now about 2 inches per day. Typically they peak though in mid-July, so we might get a couple more feet at Flaming Gorge, but it's still going to be below normal.
Despite what they're releasing, right? Because I know that kind of ebbs and flows, and it's hard to keep up with exactly what they're letting out. I know for a while they released a lot. Do you know where they're at right now?
I'm not 100% sure on what their plan is and how much they are releasing, but they are slowly ticking up just a bit. So, of course, some of that water continues to go down, and then now we have Lake Powell.
The goal is for them to send that to here.
Exactly. And they're up 53 feet now, Lake Powell, which is great since April. But I want to put it in perspective, though, Brian. From a year ago, they were up 36 feet. From 2 years ago, up 11 feet. 3 years ago, down 37 feet. So we have a ways to go, but again, a huge dent with this, of course, record snowpack, and for full capacity, 127 more feet is needed. So
we won't reach this year by any means.
We won't. We might get another 20 feet, so we're going to get close to maybe 3 years ago, but yeah, we're going to still be below that. 36% till full capacity. We haven't hit full capacity since the 80s. In the mid to late 90s, we were very close to full pool, but we haven't done it in the 2000s.
Well, the boaters would love that. I think a lot of people would like that, obviously, for the safety, for the water aspect, for the storage capacity in Lake Powell.
That's right.
But 1 year does not bring us all back, so we need something coming up next winter as well.
Yeah,
Let's take
2
a
or
look
3
at
more winters. That would be great.
Forecast.
Yeah, let's go to that forecast. And today, we've had these isolated showers and thunderstorms. Temperatures have been pleasant, still in the 70s and below average for most of northern Utah. Upper 70s along the Wasatch Front, 72 in Heber, and some 70s and 80s in central Utah. Hot spot St. George coming in at 91 degrees, but we got some cooler temperatures that'll be moving in. We had a nice little drink of water up in Cache Valley. That thunderstorm quickly racing towards the east and kind of falling apart. A few storms now just north and east of Evanston, and still some isolated showers and storms across the northern end of the Wasatch Front. This is actually where we have a bit of a cold front that's going to be slowly diving into northern Utah, and that's going to be the focus for more storm development later tonight. Also, a few showers and storms across portions of central and eastern Utah approaching Price. We got some lightning just to your north and a few storms now just south of Nephi with some light showers near the I-15, I-70 junction. So as we roll through the next couple hours, most of the Wasatch Front is dry. I think, though, after 8 or 9 o'clock, storms will fire along the cold front as it rolls through the Wasatch Front. Now, the best chance for those storms will mainly be south of Ogden overnight and into tomorrow morning, with maybe the heaviest rainfall being in Salt Lake and Utah County early tomorrow morning. Notice, though, by 8 o'clock, still a couple lingering showers, but the focal point will be down in central Utah, though, Thursday afternoon. We still could see a few pop-up storms, though, tomorrow afternoon, especially south of Salt Lake City. But notice by Thursday night, this is where we have that rain across the southern half of the state, and we could even get a few showers and storms Thursday night to Friday morning down in St. George, and this will linger Friday afternoon, but most of northern Utah should stay dry as we wrap up the work week. Right now, it looks like maybe 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 inch, pretty widespread across northern and central Utah, but some heavier rain totals are definitely possible, especially across the southern end of the Wasatch Front. So St. George, few storms Thursday into Friday. 91 drops to 86, and that is 10 degrees below normal. Weekend, though, shaping up to be pretty nice. A little breezy, though, on Father's Day and hot in the upper 90s. And then we'll cool down a little bit below normal early next week with those temperatures in the upper 80s and low 90s. Salt Lake, 74. We have those storms in the morning and then a few storms in the afternoon. Friday, 75 degrees. A little bit warmer, though, over the weekend. 82 on Saturday, 90 degrees on Father's Day. Problem with Father's Day, though, it's going to be windy, and definitely windy early in the week. So if you're playing golf with Dad, maybe tea time in the morning. And a lot more wind, though, Monday, Tuesday with that storm. Brian, I think we'll have some spotty storms in the mountains. Valley should stay dry, but Tuesday, 72 degrees. That'll be 10, 15 degrees below average.
Dad's going to be spraying that golf ball all over the place. Breezy temps. He's going to be hot. He's like 90. Son, why did you do this to me?
Go in the morning when it's 62 degrees.
There you go.
Yeah.
Bad day on the course. Still better than a good day at work
That's
for men.
true.
So that's
Yep.
okay. Hey, before we go, let's take a live look at some the traffic going on right now. This is Lehigh, so just past the point of the mountain area.
Hey, not bad.
So just so you know, if you're going this way, there's a little disruption there. So just be ready for it. It is that time of day. I-15 southbound or that Murray area. There's also a slowdown there. So stress control, everybody. If we learned anything here from our road rage conversations today, just pump the brakes and take it easy.
Not worth it.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Always appreciate you being here. We are not done for the work week. We are back tomorrow. More in-depth conversations. Another edition of 2 News Live. Thanks for being with us tonight. Take care.